Hello, it is time to discuss why people put delete my browser history in their will, because everyone is secretly a closet depraved deviant, yet we live in a culture where people sort of all agree to pretend that isn't the case. It's my opinion that everyone has a skeleton pile in their closet, some more literal than others, yet in most social circles, this bit of common knowledge is also a closely guarded secret. And it brings to mind why things like privacy are often considered important. Privacy exists, at least in the case of American law, to protect against wrongful incrimination.
I am the law. And I find you guilty.
When a group of people are heated for justice, they start developing a witch hunt mentality. They lower standards for what they consider reasonable evidence. They become unwilling to listen to evidence that doesn't fan the flames, and alleged witchcraft practitioners get roasted. The lynch mob can begin signing away protections with the if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear mindset, and can be swayed to demolish systems they don't think they'll need because they're in no condition to process the question of what they need. But everyone's idea of what constitutes things that are suspicious, or things that should be admissible as evidence, is different from everyone else's, so standards are lowered across the board. For example, when I was young, I was taught, if someone walks into a room, turn off the television, or close the laptop, or minimize whatever's on the computer screen. I was taught that was good manners. Whoever showed up probably wants your attention for something. But it resulted in numerous porn accusations over the years. What's suspicious to one person is normal behavior, or even encourageable behavior to another person. I do have to wonder what would happen if I had to look through the browser history of every politician that came out against gay marriage. I think that might be an interesting documentary. Vice versa, how many social justice warriors have a copy of 50 Shades of Grey under the bed? How many book club memberships would I find if I knew and looked through all their online profiles they use with different names because they don't want anyone they know finding it through Facebook? Perhaps the public persona is more crafted by the people around them than who they actually are when no one's looking. So in an abstract sense, what is suspiciousness? It's a set of characteristics other people find indicative of wrongful behavior. But said behavior and characteristics are a moving goalpost. Otherwise mundane qualities like a person's skin color are sometimes considered admissible as evidence against an individual for a specific case. For instance, more than once I've been told that because I'm white, that meant certain aspects of my childhood, which I've started a short series on, couldn't be true because the events don't happen to white males. Someone's better judgment should inform them that a more reasonable assertion would be less probable or less severe or some other influence, yet I often see people classify it as physically impossible instead of trying to argue a point of less probable or less severe. I've been told such events physically cannot happen more often than I've been told events could happen but were mitigated from some concept of privilege. When people seek out justice, the world around them is redefined to fit the image of justice that exists in their mind. Humans are too prone to this behavior to be trusted with everyone else's browser history, so the concept of privacy exists, because were all their sins laid bare, everyone would try to burn everyone else for witchcraft, heedless of the fact their own mundane activities are admissible as witchcraft evidence by their own low standards of what witchcraft is. False incrimination is something the average person should know better than to indulge given their knowledge of what they do in their own spare time, but aren't rational enough to do so. Perhaps there's some sort of twisted sexual thrill in all the other witches burning, but getting away with it for oneself. Does that count as an arson fetish? Well, as privacy suggests, perhaps some things are better left unknown. As a culture, we've sort of agreed to lie to ourselves and each other every time a debate over tightening the legal noose comes about, despite the availability of evidence we shouldn't. It makes me wonder how a detached cultural anthropologist from some alien civilization would view human legal proceedings. What's my point with all this? I'm not sure. The painkillers are doing most of the thinking by this point. Insert end of video pandering here, yada yada, and if you can find a spare dollar laying around after paying for all your depraved porn subscriptions, please consider supporting me on Patreon.
Court is adjourned.